got to do the whole intro thing, right?
Okay.
Because that's what we do on these podcasts, right? We got, guys. I'm delighted to have y'all back. It's so great to be back on the Still Safe Show, where we sit down with some of the world's most exciting and thrilling individuals who have the dopest stories of change and transformation.
Yeah.
And something tells me we got a story to tell, or maybe a few. I don't know.
Oof, a book.
Speaking of a book, like when is that coming?
October 30th.
Are you serious?
Serious.
I was just playing.
No, seriously. So
Okay.
I've been sitting on it for all year.
Really?
It's a PR book.
Okay.
So it's like a do-it-yourself, but also the guide to really understanding what PR is, because so many people don't understand.
Yeah. I mean, shit, we just jumped into the book. I didn't even say your name yet. I know everybody know who you are, but formally, I finally get a chance to sit down with the LaTorria Lemon. It is such an honor to do this formally, because we have these conversations all the time.
We do. We friends in real life.
You know what I'm saying? But I have to publicly thank you for so much. But for starters, I have a portfolio of work, and somehow people out there in the world think I'm a photographer. And honestly, it's it's because of you. I remember I called you up one day. I was working at Radio 1. And I was like, hey, I'm learning how to do this camera thing. I was like, I would love to just follow you around. Yeah. I would love to shoot some of your clients, because you work with some of the dopest people in the city. And I know you was probably skeptical, like pretty sure you get that a lot, but you gave me a chance.
Yes.
And I've been able to develop a body of work that is impressive to some. And like I said, people think I'm a photographer out here in these streets, and it's all because of you.
He is. Like, you are. Stand 10 toes on it. You're really dope. You shot me. You shot some of my clients, some of our events. I'm always pleased. So I'm proud of what you're doing.
Oh man, well thank you so much. Like I said, I appreciate you for trusting me, because I know in the world that you're in, trust is a hot commodity.
Trust is.
Tell me a little bit about that world though.
Yeah. So I am a publicist. I primarily focus on entertainment and hospitality, sometimes nonprofit and small businesses. I always like to tell people, because a lot of times people are like, I need a publicist. And so think of it like an attorney, right?
Yeah.
If you, God forbid, if you're in a car accident, right? You're not going to the car accident attorney and saying, okay, well, I also need divorce, this, and this. Everybody has a niche, and so my niche just happens to be entertainment, hospitality, so restaurants, lounges, even hotels. We working on that, because you put me in the right spot, so we working on that. Look. So it's
a reciprocity. You know what I'm saying? They gotta return the favor. But I know how humble and modest you are. You're not gonna sit out here and list the credentials, so I gotta do it. Because I know you didn't put clients on TNT, and I gotta read it because it's so long. TNT, CNN, of course, my family, Radio 1, Ebony, Essence, BET. You didn't work with the homie Slim Thug, Kiki, Roe. I mean, the list goes on and on. You did PR for George Floyd's funeral. Lisa Ray. I know you worked with Lee Daniel, David Banner, Checkers, The Greasy Spoon. Can I keep going? Bar 5015. Like, what? We can literally keep going on and on. And I had to do that because I know you wouldn't do it.
Right. It's hard for me.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is hard for me. And my profession, I teach people how to talk about themselves, and I have the hardest time talking about myself. So, and this has been like 15 years in the making. So I started PR when I was 19. I just turned 34. And PR wasn't something that I knew. Like, somebody saw something in me. It came from literally me being rejected. Like, my goals and aspirations were to be like a syndicated radio personality. That's what I went to school for when I left Houston. That was my goal. And then I applied for a position, and they was like, no. And I just really thought this position was going to be mine. I thought it was going to really take me to the next level and all this great stuff. And so it was with allhiphop.com, which I always like to tell people, that was like the shade room before the shade room.
I remember them days.
Yeah, they were doing amazing and still doing amazing things. And so there was a certain job, an internship that I went after when I was 18. And so the publicist for allhiphop.com, which I didn't know what a publicist was. I'm like a freshman in college, and I'm thinking, all right, allhiphop.com, they're going to put me on red carpets. I'm going to be interviewing everybody. And it didn't happen. And so the publicist ended up reaching out to me, and she said, hey, I like your portfolio. Like, I think you're like, you got what it takes. And I was like, well, thank you. She's like, I want you to meet me in my office on Monday. Like, I have I have a client that I think you would work good with. And so again, I didn't know what Publicists was. I didn't know what PRR stood for at all. And so I was like, okay, I just knew that God had blessed me with an opportunity within that rejection. And long story short, I met her in her office, which her office was at So Def.
Come on.
So I was like, wait a minute, what are we doing? So I met her there. So she shows me paperwork for one of her clients. And I look at her and I said, your client is Essence Magazine? And she was like, yeah. She said, I think you would do really good as the college liaison director and basically overseeing some of our collegiate programs and stuff and helping with marketing and stuff. And I was like, what? And so for me, it was like, it was a challenge. It was a task that I was willing to take on. And so I worked with them for 6 months, and my college advisor found out that I was working with Essence. And so she called me in her office and she literally was like, hey, I need you to sign off on this paperwork. And I'm like, well, what is this? She was like, I'm taking you out of the radio program and I'm putting you in the public relations department. And I was like, no, please. Like, I really want to be like, she said, you don't get a choice. Like, I'm telling you. And so she was like, sign off on it and you'll start your new classes on Monday. And I was like,
and let me get some tickets to Essence.
No, seriously, like immediately. And so, I think it was the prime example of people seeing something in you that you didn't see in yourself. And so that's kind of how I got started. And
I think like at such an early age too, we're so fixated on what we want.
Right.
And I think that's what's so dope about college and exposure.
Right.
Because a lot of times we have no idea what's beyond what we're chasing.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? And had you been so fixated on radio, which is an admirable, such a dope profession, all of our homies are in the industry. Yeah. But had you just been fixated on that, can you imagine like all the opportunities that would have never come to fruition?
I think about it sometimes, and just to back up, like I actually did radio. So I did radio when I was 16. From 16 to 18 years old, I was the youngest radio personality in Houston. So I was on I was on a sports show with Ralph Cooper, and I not only produced the show, I wrote the script for the show, and I was also on air. So that's all I could see, because that's what I wanted. Yeah. And so I always tell people that prepared me for even my job now, because there's times where I think like a producer. Yeah. I'm like, as a producer, you're not going to want to talk about that on the radio. That's not interesting enough. Or how do you make that a story? Yeah,
I can see you now drafting up the PR like headlines, right? Because that's the most engaging part, right?
It is.
Like you need to, like half of your job is doing their job.
That's
right?
it.
Like, so they see your, I'll be paying attention. I'll be paying attention.
You see? You know how it is. Don't get it twisted. I used to pitch to you all the time. See, we're going to tell some of our secrets here. So.
Hey, I would just slide it on over to Cook real quick.
Exactly.
But no, that's super, super dope. How God can take something that you had absolutely no idea and turn it into a career. One that I'm super, super inspired by. Tell me this though, like how have you been able to balance? Like, cause I mean, I be trying to keep up with you. And I hate to say it, but I have to say no on so many occasions.
No, I get it.
But how do you balance that personal, professional, cause you be on the scene.
Right. So as crazy as it seems, like there's an on and off switch to me, right? So my on switch is typically my work switch, which I'm having to be here and I'm having to be energetic and extroverted and all that stuff. But my off switch is like my personal life. I'm actually a very reserved, kind of shy. Like even when you text me to come on, I was like, I'll chat with you about certain things, but I'm very private in a lot of sense, which it's crazy because people see you on social media and they think they know you, right? It's like if I don't have to be somewhere, I'm normally at home with my dog, chilling. And in the comfort of my own home with my candles, my music. I like to write. That's my refresher. So like I'm always writing stuff, like whether it's how I feel or books that I've never released and all types of stuff. So
which we're gonna work on that.
We are going to work on it.
We're gonna work on releasing some of this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. That's what we're gonna do. I accept it. So as far as balance, it's still something that I'm learning, right? And so this has been my world for 15 years, and my world has consisted of PR, but then 12 years ago I started a business, and so doing PR and running a business, that means that I have to sometimes remove myself out of situations and think about, this is other people's livelihood that works on my team, and now this is what I have to do to make sure that they're, you know, being successful and that finances are meeting and all types of stuff. So it's no easy task at all. But as far as balance, I try to make sure I have good people around. And I've found that that's important. So you've met my line sister Shannon. There's times where Shannon would just text me and be like, okay, what have you done for you today? What have you eaten? And then I'm like, shoot.
Dang,
I didn't eat.
Okay, so that ain't just me.
It ain't just you. You know, sometimes you be on the go, but you need those people that, you know, those check-in people. And even my dad, there's times where he'll just send me a prayer because he can feel in my spirit, in his spirit, that, okay, she's busy, but she may be bothered. And that can be a very tough thing, because in the world that I'm in, you can only imagine how many NDAs I've signed. So that means everybody's situations and matters, like, I have to keep that inside, right? And it's
or you have to contain like certain disasters and fires before they get released to the public. It's so funny. I remember we were at an event, and Slim was like, somebody asked him something, and he was like, bro, who's your PR? Like, he was like, you need to go holler at LaTorria. Like, there's absolutely no way you finna be in the media without having LaTorria be behind you. And but speaking of that, like, why is it so important? You know, because you got managers and agents and all these different people that are part of your team, lawyers, accountants. But why is it so important for not just entertainers, but entrepreneurs and just any entity to have a good publicist?
You know, it's super important. So managers, and I always break it down, right? Your manager is managing what you have. Your publicist is publicizing what you have. So if you have 15 shows going on, but nobody knew about it, then you technically don't have those shows going on. You know what I mean? And so it's important that everybody on your team plays a significant role, but it's also important that just because you build a team, it doesn't mean that your work stops. And sometimes people, and I've seen this so many times throughout my career, oh man, I got a manager, I got a publicist, I got an assistant, I'm good. No, baby, you need to work even harder now, because guess what happens when you get a publicist? Now you have to look at, all right, I'm publicizing things, more people know about you, more people may be digging in deep doing their research on you, more people may be you know, requesting you to be places. So now your schedule is even more packed. Your life is more, you're requiring a lot more balance. And so again,
I've seen it, you know, in real life, where some of your clients walk into the station and I can tell there's a lot of anxiety, but they just walk in calm, cool, collected. Right, but you done already been the fireman. You done put out several fires. You done managed the narrative. Right.
Exactly.
and they kicked back with their legs up.
And you know, it happens so often. Even this morning, my day started this morning at like 5:30, right, with work. And so I had a client that had an interview at 7 a.m. So many things just came into play, from traffic to, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to do this, and this. And you know, so even though I'm a communicator, I have learned to realize everybody is not. So I can say something 50 times and I could put it in writing, I could remind you, and somewhere down the line.
I'm guilty.
It's okay. No, you're good.
I'm getting better. I'm very self-aware.
You're getting better. And so, you know, a lot of times, when it comes to being in person and interviews and stuff, like you said, they show up and they're relaxed. But I've had to pick up the fumbles from everybody. Sometimes it's the media people, sometimes it's the client, and then keep in mind that I don't just work with one person. So this morning, again, and it's, I don't know, it's what, like 1:30 right now. This morning I have 4 clients to do 4 different interviews before 11 o'clock. So that took a lot of preparation. That took a lot of, me making sure everything is ironed out from all angles, and so even though I build a team, which I love my team, a lot of people still think I gotta go to LaTorria. And sometimes that's a heavy weight. It really is. It's a heavy weight because I got personal stuff too going on,
Speaking of which, I thought you was gonna PR me for this. I'm waiting on the questions. I'm waiting on the narrative. I'm like, all right, she gonna give me something, right?
But you know what that's called? That's called trust. I trust that I was gonna come to this safe place, and I was just gonna let you do your thing. So a lot of times people think that, all right, she's just gonna be control. I'm not controlling. I'm organized, but I'm not controlling.
Oh, that's the word right there.
Yeah.
Organized, but not controlling.
That's it.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So is it safe to say? Now I'm just going off the hip on this one. Is it safe to say that the more organized you are, the less controlling, or you don't have to be as anxiety ridden? Like I said, I don't have a theory on this yet, but maybe you can help me.
You know what? I don't necessarily. I think it's more so when you're organized, things tend to go smoother, right? Versus, all right, my client just gonna get to this TV station, no talking points. I ain't prepped the client. The client don't even know who he or she's talking to. No, it actually takes a little bit off of my plate when I'm able to be organized. In advance.
And I've seen you take those meetings. I've seen you after a photo shoot, before an interview, sit down with a group of clients and give them a list of potential questions. And say, hey, almost like a campaign manager for a politician.
No, you have to. You know what's so crazy? So people fail to realize that sometimes these spaces create a level of anxiety with people because one, sometimes they're talking to people that they've never met, and these people are asking them in-depth questions. So it's like, okay. Secondly, you may have gone through 5 different interviews before, and out of those 5, 3 of them didn't go like you wanted them to. So now you're anxious, like, okay, is this one gonna go good? How do I look? How do I feel? What am I supposed to say? So as your publicist, sometimes I'm not just the publicist, I'm the coach too. Like, come on, you got this. Like, hey, listen. And aside from the publicist and the coach, sometimes I'm the therapist too.
The makeup artist, the hairstyle. I've seen you over there.
Like everything.
Can I get one of those? I'm just saying. Can I?
We gonna work on it.
Okay, I'm just saying. Like I could use some help in that department. The mother of my kids is phenomenal. Don't get it twisted. But we both could use. Me and her both could use a nanny.
Listen, it's helpful, especially when it's a person that's doing it all. But
man.
Yeah. So you do what you have to do to get them to the finish line. And there's been times where I have walked clients through matters that I could never even imagine, like IRS problems. Okay. I've never spoken publicly about this story. It's 2 stories. So one, God really had to activate my faith in who I am as a person, not just a publicist. So years ago, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I got a call from a client, and she called me. I was on the phone, and then she called again, and I said, okay.
Yeah, usually when you get them double.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me hop off. So she said, LaTorria, I love you. And I said, okay, I love you too. And she told me where her bank info was. She's telling me where everything is. I'm like, well, what's going on? And she said, I've had enough of life. And she told me, she said, tell my kids I love them because I can't face them. And I said, wait a minute, hold on. And I didn't know that for that day that was going to be my assignment.
Yeah.
And you never can be prepared for an assignment like that. And so again, in this role, I'm not a publicist. I'm now having to activate every level of my faith, every level of asking God to just intercede, like please. So I'm talking with her, trying to talk through it. And trying to find the good in all of the bad that she's saying that's going on. And it was a lot. It was a lot that she was experiencing. And I told her, I said, hey, I'm on my way to you. And when I got to her, of course, it was and I had to pray the whole time. Like, I'm still on the phone with her, but I'm like, God, I need you. And when I got to her, I had seen a person that I had never seen before. Because again, in our world, I'm seeing you as polished as possible, or I'm helping you get polished. And I prayed with her, I talked to her, and I just wouldn't leave her side. And that meant even staying the night with her, and because I felt in that moment it was bigger than PR.
Come on.
It was bigger than, I mean, anything you could possibly imagine. And so I was able to talk her away from that idea, that thought of her ending her life. And I even, maybe a few days after that, I told her, I said, I don't think I'm what you need as far as publicist goes. I don't even think you need PR. I think here's the help that you need, so that you can be there for your family, so that you can be there for yourself, so that you can be there for your kids that still to this day probably had no idea that that's what mommy was going through. You know, and so
most folks don't.
Exactly.
You know, you got to put on, we don't necessarily have to put on the front, but you got to be strong. You
oh my God.
Be resilient for the babies, for the kids. I don't care how old they are. And
you have to.
And by creating that safe space, you know, she, you know, thank God she felt comfortable enough to. Because a lot of times people will reach out.
Oh yeah, they will.
Know?
And again, that back-to-back call. And I just thank God that I was able to call back, because I would have felt extremely terrible if she would have followed through with her plans. And I was the last person that she reached out to, you know. And so I think that, just in all honesty, the role is bigger than what most people see, especially when you're trusting. And I always pray that God, I always pray to God that people see the God in me, no matter which room I'm in. Because in entertainment, it's a dark place.
Look, we can go from the church house to
the trap house.
Come on. And listen, and that light goes with you wherever you go.
It does.
That's incredible. That's actually something I really wanted to ask you, because it's something that I don't want to say I've struggled with, but I've learned to balance. You know, working at Radio 1, I can go from 97.9 The Box to Praise Houston. I remember one day I'm in the morning with the morning show, we're interviewing 50 Cent, and then in the evening we're with Kirk Franklin. You know what I'm saying? Like at any given moment. And I don't think it's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You know, but how do you balance that, you know, the God in me being in the world but not of the world, and still living a life of integrity, being a woman of faith, and poise and grace. You know what I'm saying? How do you balance that?
I think the biggest thing is I stay true to me. So no matter what room you put me in, I'm me. And I know before I'm a publicist or anything, I'm a woman of God.
Come on.
Like that's the biggest thing. So I could be out here with some of the biggest pastors, some of the biggest trappers. And you know what? Some of those biggest trappers, rappers, or whatever, I have sat and prayed with them. I have sat and gotten to the core of them. Things that people would never see. Like I've had a rapper to call me in the middle of the night, and to some that's like, okay, what type of hours is that? We're gonna pray.
Come on.
Because this rapper was going through something that was so intense that he didn't know who else to turn to. And he knew that this was going to be a place that LaTorria's secrets
we coining that today. LaTorria's secrets. What secrets we talking about?
You know, the secrets of the world, you know.
Okay. Proceed.
He knew that it was going to be a safe place. And he knew that, one, I not only was going to talk to him, but I was going to listen. And I think sometimes people forget that that's a huge element of listening. And to have a place where you can just be yourself. You ain't got to put on your chains. You ain't got to put on your Rolls Royce or whatever the case may be. You can just be yourself. Like, that's me no matter what. Like, you can be yourself with me. You can be vulnerable. You can be the hardest of the hardcore. You can, and I'ma still love on you. I'ma pray with you. I'ma always have a scripture somewhere down the line for you. You know, and so to know and understand that, hey, no matter where God puts me, I'm walking with him just like he's walking with me. And so again, even in some of the darkest places, I have found a way to pray with people. I had a guy on my team years ago, and normally before every event, me and my team, we pray. My team, you know, they know my faith. It's not something that you have to adapt to, right? But I remember this particular guy, loved him as a person, he came up to me. He was like, I'm not gonna pray with y'all. And I said, okay, no worries. And so he ended up telling someone else on my team that he was atheist.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, no worries. 3 months passed by. This young man called me. We had been still working together, events, all types of stuff. And he said, Miss LaTorria, can you pray with me? And in that moment, I realized, again, another assignment, right?
Yeah.
And I appreciated it because this person that had no belief, no faith in God, didn't want to even be around us while we were praying. Asked me to pray with him for a matter that he was dealing with. And so I knew that, okay, you see the God in me, but you also see that my walk is the same no matter where I'm at. And I'm going to love on you just as much.
Listen, man, sometimes that's the secret, man. I've seen a lot of folks, evangelists and pastors. I was joking around with somebody and calling them super spiritual salesmen, really like pushing it.
Right.
And I'm like, man, God don't even do that, right?
No.
Like, and to some degree, and not to get too philosophical, but that's kind of where the whole evil thing enters into the world. Like, how can God be God and there still be evil? Well, it's like we can't fully love him if we don't have free will and choice.
Right.
And God loves us enough and wants our unadulterated love in return, but we can't do that if we don't have the choice to love him. And so that, and I'm like, but a lot of folks don't get that. They're like, you gonna love God and you gonna do this and you gonna do that. And I'm like, just give him a choice, bro.
No,
and sometimes if you just plant the seed,
that's it.
God will do the drawing.
That's it. And at the end of the day, like when you continuously throw something in someone's face, it doesn't make them feel comfortable around you. It doesn't make them feel comfortable with you. And so again, your walk and your light should be bright no matter what room you're in, so that it attracts a person. You know what I mean?
Attracts.
So
it's attractive.
It's attractive.
You know what I'm saying?
You know?
Hey, I love it. I love it. But your faith has definitely opened up doors.
Right.
Now, don't get it twisted. Your grind, your motivation, your work ethic, your network, your connections, the way you handle those relationships, not just the relationships themselves, but the way you treat people with integrity, that has opened up doors. But beyond that, beyond the human side of things, I've seen your faith open up doors that no man can open and that no man can shut. Share with me a little bit about that, like some spaces that God, like, can't nobody get credit for it but God. And I'll give you an example why you think, because you called me up to come kick it with David Banner for the rodeo. And I was supposed to just be shooting some behind the scenes content, nothing fancy, right? And next thing you know, I end up on stage in front of 75,000 people, and I'm like, how in the world? First of all, I wasn't supposed to be up there. Let's just set the record straight. Dave was just like, hey, just stay right beside me. And I'm like, and so that was one of those moments for me, right? Not supposed to be there. They literally said, photographers, go away. And next thing you know, I'm like, I've never seen this many people in my life.
Ever.
Right? But tell me, like, some moments where you knew it was God. It wasn't your relationships and connections, that God just showed up and showed out in a remarkable way.
Yes, for sure. So, so many. Like, I don't even know where to start. So for one, if it was left up to man, I wouldn't even be sitting here, right here today. So my senior year of college, I had a professor that to this day, the lady just didn't like me. She didn't like me, and she told me I would never survive one day in PR.
People like that should not be in education.
They shouldn't be in education.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. But hey, how you doing, Professor? But she actually told me maybe a month before graduation, she said, call your people, you ain't walking. Those were her exact words. So I'm like, I have turned in my project, I've been on the dean's list, like, and she gave me an F, not a D, not a C, a F. I had never seen an F on anything I had done ever in my life. Even though you coming from that north. The north,
with the
F.
One of the first people from the north side on the show. I had to make room for.
We in here.
I love it.
Yes, so she gave me an F, and I remember just thinking, wow. In that moment, honestly, her words, I let those negative words seep in. And I called my family. I said, well, I'm not graduating. And my dad said, you're not what?
Oh, I already know how he responded.
Oh, listen. He said, oh, no, you graduating. He said, we got our flight, you graduating. And I said, Daddy, this is my core class. Like, this was my PR principles class, meaning that's the class you needed to graduate with your degree. And so I'm like, I don't understand, God. Like, I've fought this entire semester. I've fought this entire year to stay in school because I went through a very horrible situation early in my senior year where I was involved with domestic violence. And it was enough for me just to go home. Give up and go home. I was humiliated, just all types of stuff. So long story short, I went to my dean and I said, Dean Clem, I'm not graduating. And she said, you're not what? And I said, I failed my PR class. She said, no, you didn't. She said, I want you to bring me all your assignments. Meet me in my office tomorrow at 12. I'm going to look over your assignments and then we'll reconvene. So I said, yes, ma'am. I brought it all. And I had assignments stacked up to here because PR, again, it's a lot of writing. So, like.
This was before ChatGPT, by the way.
Hello. You could cheat a little bit now. But my senior project was 136 pages. So I worked on that the whole year. It was like a dissertation. So I worked on it the whole year. I gave it to my dean. She looked over it. She looked over all the other grades that I had made, and she said, oh yeah. She said, go ahead. You've been cleared. Call your parents, your family. You walking. And I knew in that moment it was nothing but God, because somebody tried to stop what God had already put together. And then in addition to that, again, this is why you got to be careful who you allow to speak over your life. Because if I would have listened to that lady told me I would never make it a day in PR. I'm like 15 years in.
Come on.
Just
see, that's the attitude I need. That's the attitude I don't get to see that often.
Listen.
I get the sweet, humble. No, I've been 15 years in this game. 10 toes down.
Years.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
Okay, now you pushing it. Now
I'm just saying. So that was one situation, and then another situation. When I got the call to do George Floyd funeral services, not just one service, not two, but 4. That was the biggest test from God, because anybody that knows me, you ain't gonna catch me in no funeral home, okay? You're not gonna catch me. I like happy stuff. I'm listening parties, we had 50-15 doing, so.
Let's keep it light and fluffy.
Light and fluffy. We're going to have a little laugh. No. So when I got that call, I got the call from Bobby Swearington, who's the owner of Fort Bend Memorial Planning Center. He called me and told me, hey, Ms. Lemon, mind you, me and Bobby the same age, but he didn't always call me Miss Lemon. He was like, "Hey, Miss Lemon, I got George Floyd," and so I'm thinking, like, I didn't really know how to react to that, because I guess in his industry, that's a huge thing, right? But the emotional side of me is like, I've been seeing and hearing this all over TV. Like, this is a sad situation. And so I said, well, Bobby, that's huge. And he was like, yeah. He was like, so I need you to email me. And so I said, okay, no problem. I didn't know what he meant by email me. So the end of the day comes and Bobby goes, I haven't received your email yet. And I said, well, Bobby, I didn't really know what you was talking about. Like, I was in Zumba when you called me, so I don't know what you was talking about. He said, well, the family wants you to handle everything. And so I was like, handle everything like what? And he was like, all 4 of the services. And he was like, and we're leaving in the morning to go to Minneapolis. So we need to get your flight. And so I still couldn't piece together all of the puzzle, because everything happened so quickly, like within a matter of hours. Like, I didn't even get to tell my family I'm getting ready to go. To this day, I don't even know who came to my house and picked up my dog, because I was gone for 9 days. Like, I have no idea.
Po dog.
I'm glad she cool, but
the crazy thing is, it was the climate during that season was so sensitive, right? And that's coming from somebody in Houston. you know, thousands of miles away from Minneapolis.
Yeah.
What was it like being on the ground in the environment and in the climate of where that incident actually took place?
Oof.
Like,
okay, you say people don't be crying on your show, so I'm trying to hold it together.
That's the sweat. That's the sweat. You got the fan. You got the fan.
It's a little sweat.
Yeah.
I'm still an upside G. But you know, I'm gonna walk you through it. So we got off the plane from Houston to Minneapolis, and it was maybe about 9 o'clock.
Okay.
The PM. The airport was like, I mean, you could barely see, it was nobody there. Like, it was a ghost town in the airport. So myself, Bobby, Justin from my team, and Bobby's assistant, we're all looking around like, what's really going on? So we get our bag and we walk out of the door, and there's nothing but like policemen all outside of the airport. And so I'm like, what's going on? I'm really I understand what's going on.
Oh yeah.
But I'm like, wait, this is crazy. I mean, you see the police in their helmet, their big bulletproof guns are drawn. And so I'm like, okay, this is a lot. So one of the policemen yells from across like the way, and he goes, where are y'all headed? And so again, I'm the only girl here, so I'm like, all of us were just frozen.
Yeah.
And there was this guy, kid you not, you could call Bobby right now and ask him. There was this guy in this old school Suburban. I mean, because it was no cars. It was no cars to pick
like
up people.
1990, we talking Suburban, or are we going to the 80s? Like,
this was
you
about
know,
92.
that 1500 Suburban.
This was about a 1992 Suburban.
And when you could hear pulling up,
you could hear him pulling up, right? And so there's no other cars, because mind you, it's a ghost town in the airport. Nobody's flying in, nobody's flying out.
Right, yeah.
Don't even know how we got a flight in. So long story short, the Suburban has his window down, and he goes, they with me. And so I'm like, okay, what's about to go down here? So Bobby was like, just walk, let's just walk. So at this point, I'm scared, I'm terrified, because we're about to get in a car that we don't know these people. It's a guy in the front seat, it's a lady in the back seat, the windows are down, and Bobby was like, come on, let's just go.
Yeah, and y'all, nobody with you knew.
Nobody. We didn't know these people from a can of paint, like literally. And so the guy, he said they're with me because he's trying to protect us, but because it's like nothing but police and guns are drawn, because it's like, okay, who are these people, and why are they flying in here? Because again, everything about Minneapolis was just dark. I mean, completely dark, because this is where George Floyd was murdered. And so we get in this Suburban. The guy go, where y'all going? And so I'm fumbling. I'm like, I've never been so off my marker ever in my life.
I don't think there's ever been an instance where I've seen you fumbling.
I was in tears, because I'm scared now. I'm like, I don't know this man. Then I hear some noise, and I'm like, is that a baby in the backseat? So I'm like, oh my God, it's a baby in the backseat.
That would have been me. But it would have been two babies. It would have been two babies. No, they were me. Yeah, they were me.
You with me. So the guy was like, tell me where you going. So Bob was like, we're going to such and such hotel. He was like, got it. We didn't say a word the whole trip. The guy dropped us off at the hotel. He was like, y'all be safe. But he said it to us like, I need y'all to be safe. And so I'm like, okay. So I get in, I'm checking into the hotel, and I'm just like, what just happened? Like, I've never hitchhiked a ride. I've never been in unfamiliar places. So I'm like, okay, God, this was prime example of I don't know what I'm walking into. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So
literally walking by faith, not by sight.
Oh my God, the whole 9 days.
Because by sight would have told you not to get in the car.
I would have walked. But I was scared because it was police everywhere. Because I'm like, okay. But it was one of those things where it was like, I see some people that look like they need help. I'm going to help them. I can't tell you this man's name to this day. I don't know the baby's name. I don't know who was in the backseat. I don't know anything other than this man made sure we got from point A to point B safely.
Come on.
Then I went into my hotel, and I'm like, okay, I got 560 emails. Sheesh. Just about George Floyd.
I will never complain about my inbox ever again.
Jesus. And that was just in a matter of 3 hours, because before I got on the flight, I had several hundred. So keep in mind, this is the biggest story in the world.
The world.
So I got emails that's in Spanish and in other language that I'm having to translate to get them the press release and the information that they needed. Aside from that, the next task the following day was we went to the funeral home that had his body in Minneapolis. And so again, keep in mind, I do happy stuff. When they came in and they said, okay, it's the Publicist, you need to see him before we present him to the public.
Right. Because it's not just the narrative, it's the image.
It's the image.
It's everything.
It's everything. It's
the visuals, everything that gets presented to the world.
Everything. Every single thing mattered. And when I walked in, I had to say, God, give me strength. And I literally had an outer body moment because, again, I expected, okay, you're gonna break down, but I had to go in, I had to be strong. Like, this took a whole new level of strength. I mean, I'm being strong. I'm telling him, okay, let's adjust this. Let's make sure he looks like this.
And you're there with the family?
I'm there with the funeral home.
Okay.
And mind you, and this story is, again, it's so packed with so much. We had to get picked up from a certain location just to have car service to take us to the funeral home because nobody could know where his body was, because again, this is the biggest story in the world. So we were, just to give you how crazy this was, we were followed by TMZ, we were followed by every news station you could possibly
think about all that.
Oh my goodness. It was, I literally thought I had, and this was maybe days after this moment, I thought I had like just maybe 5 minutes to just take a walk. And so I'm walking with my friend Justin, and he goes, do you hear that? And I was like, what? And I look up, drones and helicopters are above my head because they knew wherever I was going,
they knew that
he was going to be there. And everybody wanted the exclusive, not thinking that this is this man's family that me and my team are trying to protect, his image, the family, all of these things are factors. And so I literally had to tell God, I need you. Because that was 9 days of no sleep. That was 9 days of, you got to get this right. Because there's a certain level of protection. There's a certain level of publicity. I put out so many fires. I mean, there was stuff on the Shade Room and blogs with people saying that they were selling tickets to his funeral. I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy. So, after those 9 days of 4 funeral services, being on multiple flights just about every day, ducking and dodging paparazzi, media, all types of stuff, dozens of calls, hundreds of calls, everything you could possibly imagine. After that 9th day, I literally had to say, God, I need you to guide me, because while the rest of the world was mourning, I was in work mode. And when I went into my mourning phase, it took me about a week to just come back to myself, because so much had transpired that I never even imagined a publicist would go through. And so when I get a call from, people that were on the PR team and the activation teams for some of the president's funeral services, and they call me and they said, I don't know how you did it, but you did it. Because some of these presidents had one service and that was it, or they had their body was in the hearse and they rolled,
or there might not have been as much controversy.
Bingo. Exactly.
It was a celebrated memorial.
Oh my God, that's it. It was hard to find a celebration in this for the world, And so I was getting calls from people just saying, people that I didn't even know, but again, my number and my email address was public for everybody.
Because you were the go-to.
Listen, so people were calling me just in tears, crying. I don't understand why this happened to him. I'm marching, I'm putting together a protest. I mean, it was heavy. It was beyond heavy. It was, nothing but God could have carried me and my small team of 4 people. Like, this wasn't an army of people. You would,
like Gideon. You know what I'm saying?
You see what I'm saying? Hey, listen,
sometimes you gotta like cut, all the loose ends in order to make sure that it's tight and everything stays contained and organized. You know what I'm saying?
Organized and confidential.
I'll say this though, you did a hell of a job.
Oh, thank you.
From somebody on the outside looking in, the narrative and just the preserving and protecting his legacy.
That's it.
And I was proud.
Thank you.
Super proud. And there's absolutely no comparison in this analogy that I'm getting ready to share, because the magnitude of your situation is far greater. But I did learn a similar lesson, and I think you highlighted that. And I remember, I shoot happy stuff, right? When I go out and I take pictures, I love the graduations. I love the weddings. I love the styled shoots, right? Where people are looking pretty and handsome and GQ and dapper. Like, give me that. Right? Give me the listening parties and the behind the scenes and the celebrations. But I got a call from a friend to shoot his mother's funeral.
Jesus.
Right? And I was like, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
I really don't. Like, first of all, I'm not going to say no. Because you my boy, and mom was super special to the entire world, so I can't say no. But now I have to figure out how to do this. And I remember showing up still very what's the word, very just uneasy and unsure of how I'm going to execute. And I talked to one of my buddies. Luckily, the videographer, a very good friend of mine, somebody I learned a lot from. I was like, bro, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. He leaned into me. He said, hey man, just tell the story.
Wow.
Tell the story.
Wow.
The same thing you do at a wedding, the same thing you do at a concert. He was like, tell the story, capture the moments of her legacy.
Wow.
And I was able to evoke so much emotion, from people sitting in the front row to siblings hugging on each other and consoling, grandbabies, and the husband actually eulogized her. Like, so getting those powerful moments of him, like, it was just it was powerful. It was hard, but it was a moment that came with a lot of responsibility.
Bingo.
And I think your ability to take that responsibility, to whom much is given, much is required.
Right.
And I think you did a hell of a job, I gotta say it again, of telling the story.
Thank you.
So that the world had an accurate depiction of who George was and what he meant to all of us.
That's it. I appreciate that, and nothing but God.
You've had a very, very impressive career. One that's not only celebrated, it's envied. But again, like we said earlier, to whom much is given, much is required. And you've worked crazy, crazy hard to not just get into this industry, but stay in this industry. You have such a respected reputation across the city, across the state, and I'm sure across the country. Man, how do you do that? Like, how do you know what I'm saying? Like, how? Because I've seen so many people come and go. Right? And what's your secret to this longevity that you have at such a young age? You know what I'm saying?
Forever 21.
Another one of LaTorria's secrets.
That's it. I love it. I think one of the things, or a few of the things that's kept me having longevity is when I get a blessing, I give a blessing. And so many times people become stingy with what they get. And I was thinking the other day, I was like, you know what? I kind of boiled it down to, like, if I had $1, I'd probably keep 30% of the dollar, and then I give the rest away. And that's really been, and let me be honest. let me be very honest. That's a pro and a con. And the reason that I thought of that analogy is because I was just kind of going through and thinking about just my life and how much I've given. And if we're being transparent, this year has taught me so much about the giver. I've had moments this year where I've had to stop and say, okay, where are the people that I've given to when I need it? And that's tough. I went through a very traumatic time in May of this year. without telling too much, I had a cuckoo on my hands that was so adamant about getting public relations services from me. And during that time, I just wasn't able to bring on this person. And it turned into World War II. I mean, seriously, this person became very ugly, made threats to me, to my family. I mean, just all types of stuff that's like, okay, I hate to say this, but there's about 10,000 probably 10 million other publicists in the world. Go find one.
And do you really think that that's going to get the results that you want? Like I tell my kids that, like, that's a child lesson. Like, it's like, bro, like, do you really think this tantrum is going to get you what it is that you desire?
You know, like, some people's mentality are so, it can be so spoiled, right? Or it could be, I'll put it this way. A lot of times people think that, okay, what you did for John Singleton when he was alive, you could do it for me. It's like,
first of all, you ain't John Singleton.
You ain't John Singleton. Like, just FYI, like this, I was able to work with him literally a year before he passed on the first season of Snowfall. His success was there before I even got there. Man, let's be honest. Like, I'm literally in the room with him doing PR, and I'm like, God, how did I get here? But that's another story. And
you still maintain that humility even after. Never mind. Sorry, I'm still amazed. Like, I love it. I love it.
You know what? Because I think when you really look at it, these are people with accolades, but the biggest thing is they're people. And no matter if I'm in a room with John Singleton or if I'm in a room with Jimbo from Greenspoint.
Yeah, I know Jimbo. That's my dog. No, you know,
I knew you'd be on the nose.
Listen, my grandma stayed out. You know, she stayed at Acres Home. Don't get it twisted. I was over there every other weekend.
You feel me? You already know.
Nah, straight swat all day, baby. No, come on, Jimbo.
Come on, Jimbo. But I think it's the mindset, right? Please don't ever think. And I'm quick to tell people when they come to me, they're like, "Oh yeah, I want to be on CNN." I can't do it.
Yeah.
And it don't matter if I can or I can't. I can't do it in the magnitude that you want in this moment because you don't understand the process.
Come on.
So never come to me and be like, I want to be on Isaiah's show. Listen, I have relationships with all these people, but it don't mean they're going to be interested in you. And that's what people sometimes don't understand. So they're just looking at what I've done for everybody else. And, you can definitely do it for me. I know you're the woman with the master plan. I didn't heard this so many times. And I'm just like, please understand. You have to, 1, do the groundwork. 2, you have to know and understand how media works. No matter how strong some of my best friends are in media and they've said, "Hey, LaTorria, we're going to pass on this story. But are we still going to dinner on Sunday?" And it's like, yeah, girl, we still going. Because I understand the difference between work and personal. And I understand I have a job just like you have a job.
Do you ever find yourself in a development mode where you have certain clients that all right, I do want to work with you. You're not quite there yet, or you're not ready for this particular platform. Do you ever assist in the development phase, or do you just kind of like say, "Hey man, you need to go work on this, come back and holler at me when you're ready"?
So I do a little consulting. There's some people that I genuinely believe in their brand and I believe who they are and all these great things, but they may not be in a phase where they're ready. And sometimes people will say, I'm ready. And it's like, because guess what? I went on your social media. You're cussing folks out.
Yeah, man.
And I don't want my brand to be associated with, here go Kiki cussing folks out again, and LaTorria, her publicist, and LaTorria is telling Kiki, "Hey, you can't can't nobody change me." Oh, that's not it. Because that's not attractive.
Come on.
Right? Now, and then I've had some people say, "Well, Slim Thug do it." You know what? This man has been in the industry 25 years.
No lie, that's a part of Slim's brand.
It's a part of his brand. It's who
he is. He's the realest dude on the planet.
He's the realest
dude. Don't
dude.
take me to no middle school.
No, seriously, don't take me to I'm not talking to them kids. Listen.
Not about that. We can talk entrepreneurship.
We could talk entrepreneurship,
we could
construction, philanthropy, all those things. Amazing guy,
he
amazing
knows
person.
His lane.
He knows his lane. But if you're over here and you're writing books on how to heal, but you cussing folks out on your page, or you're constantly, posting stuff in lingerie. Like I had one lady she was posting stuff and I was like, "Hey, you gotta well, I'm in my season where I'm feeling myself. Well, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling that. Like, that's not.
You could be in that season, like behind closed doors.
Put it on your close friends.
Yeah.
You don't have to put it on your page, And
but that type of advice, that consulting is necessary.
Right.
A lot of folks just don't know.
They don't know. They definitely don't know. So I think that, to your original question, this year I have learned the importance of how to give and who to give to.
Come on.
Because I found myself getting hurt a lot. And hurt like behind closed doors, like hurt, and I'm like, God, but these are people that I've helped. These are people when they were down and out, I'm like, hey, here go a little something, or hey, I got you, here goes some groceries. You ain't got to tell not a soul. You good in my book. I'm gonna give you this, and let's never speak of it again, because I just want you to be good. And then I'm like, okay, well, here I am. I need, and I've had client hurt, I've had friend hurt, I've had all of that, and I went to a conference or a brunch earlier this week by Cashel Kelly, and it was called the Strong Friend Brunch. And I cried my eyes out. The lady next to me was like, are you okay? I was like, I'm fine. I needed that, because sometimes we don't realize, as the strong friend or the strong person in the situation, what the weight and the burden looks like, right? And so I saw something on Instagram. This girl said, I just want to let everybody know I'm no longer strong. I'm weak. And so she was like, and let me tell you why I'm weak. Because people check on the weak person.
Come on.
People go above and beyond to be there for the weak person. They give to the weak person. But sometimes when you're strong, people just assume, you're okay. 3 years ago when I lost my oldest sister, I literally was looking around, and I was like, wow, just a week before her death, I had helped a friend start his business and gave him all the master plans and everything. I'm like, I can't even get a call. How you doing? You all right? Let me bring you something to eat. Let me make sure you're okay. And so I think that as a giver and as a person that I overlove, and I overlove because I never want people to feel like they don't have somebody in me, right? And I've learned that could be a defense mechanism.
Well, I was gonna say too, how do you, because this could help somebody, how do you avoid becoming bitter, right? How do you avoid how do you maintain that spirit of generosity after being burned so many times, right? And I see it in the word often. It's like, hey, be meek as doves, but wise as serpents, right? But it's like, how do you, because you're still a giver. Even after being burnt and kind of taken advantage of in some instances. But then I think about Jesus too. It's like he didn't nobody took his life. He gave it. So it's like what you choose to do with it, like that's on you. I tell my daughter that all the time. She was like, Dad, how you know that if you give this homeless person some money, he ain't gonna go buy like alcohol or drugs? And I was like, I don't. But I'm just giving out of a generous heart. But how do you avoid like getting bitter or becoming stingy and withholding, you know what I'm saying?
I think that I've had moments like this year where I've had to really stop and think, all right, the people that you're giving to, the things that you're giving to, maybe it's ran its course. And maybe now's the time for you to give to you.
Come on.
And that's
because you can't pour out of an empty cup.
Oh, you can't pour out of it. And guess what? There's some people that will see your cup is empty and will still try to take that last drop.
Be squeezing it out like
I know I'm a lemon, but don't squeeze me, okay? Okay, like just stop it. Like,
oh, where's your dad when we need him?
I know.
I just you need to have some lemons somewhere.
Exactly. So, not becoming bitter. I ain't gonna lie, like that can be a tough thing because
like let's just be real.
It's real. Like I'm a human at the end of the day, and I've had those moments where I'm like, okay, I know I've been good. I've been good to you. Then I stop and I look around and I was like, God didn't stop blessing me because the receiver decided not to be grateful, or the receiver decided to be deceiving. God don't stop. Like so. It literally is something that, in all honesty, I've prayed through, still praying through. I've had to literally say, well, don't change you, but change up how you do things.
Come on, boundaries. Listen,
and it's essential. It really is, because does it hurt? Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, people always, I think the biggest hurt that everybody wants to say is church hurt, right? Oh, it's so much other hurt there. Like it's hurt. It's, again, I done had client hurt. I done had
client hurt.
I'm telling you, business is a real thing. Like when you get hurt in business.
Let's talk about the wedding industry. You know what I'm saying? Let me not hijack this conversation.
I'm listening.
We're dealing with brides. Like it can be a little unrealistic sometimes. The expectations are all the time.
You want me to make you look like who? Mm-hmm. With that? Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Anyway, my bad. My bad.
You're good.
See, I was triggered. Like, that's all.
You know, but I think learning to immediately forgive without the apology.
Yeah.
That's the season that I'm in, because God is working on me right now. I've been dealing with a situation with someone that I truly love, who's like family to me, and this person hurt me. And I still have to engage with this person on a day-to-day basis. And I'm a person, I'm non-confrontational. My dad would tell you, I would walk away from a situation and be like, I'm good on it. Like, I'm not going to
what they say when a woman's fed up, like, the scary part is not when she fussing and cussing and at your throat. It's when she get quiet.
Oh, when she quiet, y'all better wonder.
Trying to give y'all some game, dog.
Listen, that's some game right there. When she's quiet, that's when you have something to worry about, because you may have lost her or that piece of her. And that's just where I'm at. Like, all right, cool. I'm observant. But I'm not going to allow anybody to walk over me or to use me. What I've given from my heart. Now, if you misuse that, that's on you. That's not on me.
A real good friend of mine said it's okay to let people use you, just don't let them misuse you.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, to some degree, we're all using resources and connections and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's not okay to have people misuse you. And only you can control what's use and misuse by the boundaries that you put in place.
That's exactly what it is.
And man, you said something so powerful too. You talked about the giver, and it just got me thinking, man. Like, I think about how God said that yet while we were still sinners, he died for us.
That's it.
He gave, not when we cleaned up our act, not when we got it all together, not once we started going to church and putting on suits and playing and looking the part and learning all the Christian lingo and Christianese. Like, no, he died for me when I was still out there in the SWAT, selling drugs, doing what I was doing, wilding out. He was like, no, I know you're going to act a fool. Like, I already got a plan for that. Just when you're ready to get your mind right,
I'm here.
I'm here. And he did, you know, and I'm thankful for that. And so, like, when I think about, you know, people using or whatever the case may be, I'm just like, you know what, like the amount of grace that has been bestowed to me, I'd be foolish not to extend that same grace. So, and God got them, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, God,
like
God
he can handle them way better than I can.
No, seriously. And then you know what? Another thing that I'm realizing is we never truly know what other people are experiencing, right? And what I've learned is sometimes when people do you wrong, it has little to do with you.
Come on.
It has more to do with them. Who they are, their character, what they're going through, and whatever the case may be. And God has actually allowed where there's been situations that has torn me up. And I never thought I would pass through these situations. He's allowed some of those people to come back and apologize in the rarest form. Man. And I'm like, God, okay. Like, I appreciate that. But I also think that it's important for us to realize that our healing is our responsibility. Because it's never the person that hurts us that heals us.
They don't owe you anything.
They don't. And you know, we can say, all right, we're using each other. I'd rather you utilize me than use me. Because I feel like if you use me,
daughter
that's
of a pastor over there.
I
can say, listen.
Hey, daddy. I feel like that's with ill intent, though. Like, you know, I've had some people to say, girl, we need to hang out more. We need to go to lunch. And I'm like.
Because you want to go to the work. Like, I know what you think.
Because you know that, okay, you got the key to this place and it's free. No.
But the cool thing is you don't take advantage of that.
No,
You've never abused or misused or exploited any of those relationships or contacts beyond, you know, your profession. And I absolutely love that.
Yeah, and you know, one of our mutual friends who's a client of mine is Max. And I will literally be in the area of the Greasy Spoon, and I'll go in and be like, I'm going to support Max and try to buy lunch, and Max like, absolutely not.
Yeah, you better than me. I'm calling Max and I'm like, hey bro, no, I'm just playing.
No,
just playing. Max know it's all love.
Exactly.
We'll barter. I'll take some pictures.
That's it.
I will shoot for oxtails, Max.
Hello, Max. Shout out to Max. There you go. Oxtails over rice.
Them lamb chops, baby.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, the Greasy Spoon just got a real nice plug.
A commercial. PSA. We love it. We love it. Yeah, but no, I think, you know, extending that support to people is good, but then also looking out as well. And even though I'm a person that Max has retained my services, he's like, no, I can't. Like, I'm not gonna, you know, and I appreciate that. I appreciate people looking out for each other. I mean, just like I've looked out for you, you've looked out for me too. And I truly appreciate that, because sometimes genuine people, we need to make sure that we're each other's village. Yeah. You know, and sometimes it's hard for us to ask each other for stuff, or hey, no, I think we need to find a happy space to say, hey, I can humble myself enough to ask for this, or to get insight on this, and understand the friendship that God has put, you know, within us. And even if that's just, hey, let me check on you.
Come on.
You know, or hey, how's your soul doing?
I've gotten those messages a couple of times, and at first I used to, like, you know, I used to just breeze right over them and give you the fake little, I'm good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a beautiful week. I'm like, no, David, what's really going on? Like, cause you're in my spirit.
I ain't seen the posts or nothing going on. Like, every now and then people pick up on that stuff, man. And, but no, it's nice to know that it's reciprocated.
Absolutely.
It's not something that comes natural to me. You know, I got to give my ex-wife credit on that, because she trained me well.
There you go.
She trained me well.
There you go.
Especially when it comes to things like funerals, or when people are going down and out. Sometimes you can't just ask folks like, hey, what can I do? Sometimes you just gotta Uber Eats something.
Listen,
you gotta, because they're not gonna tell you, or like even photo shoots and stuff. You know, folks ain't gonna say, hey, can you do it for? Well, some people will, but the real ones don't. And I'm like, no, there's no way you're gonna pay me for this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I can't. Like, So anyway.
No, listen. That's a good point you made. Kind of off topic from our question, but when people are going through stuff, I think that it's so important for us to activate. So don't be that person and be like, hey, call me if you need me, because 9 times out of 10 they're not gonna call you.
It's a cop out. I've used that cop out on many a days to say that I'm there for you.
Right.
I'm praying for you. Call me if you need me. You know they not finna call you.
No, they not. Like, and don't tell the person you're praying. Send them the prayer. You know, because so often like, I'm praying for you, and 17 weeks then went by, you ain't told God nothing about that. It takes 20 to
30 seconds to shout out, you know, if you're a real prayer. But you know, 10 give me a 10-second voice note.
That's it.
Send it, you know, especially all my iPhone folks out there, or you know.
Oh, you kind of, was that shade to me? That was kind of a little shade.
You know, I can easily pray for you and send the blue message through. The blue prayers get to God quicker.
Oh, God, forgive him, because he know you're an Android user.
Oh, negative. Oh,
God
no.
is from the north side, and he an Android user. That's my God.
Okay, right. Is your fan still working?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yes.
I think it's time to wrap this thing up, man. Oh, my God. God is from the north side and an Android user.
He's a good God.
I ain't even got no words for that one, man. No words. All right, cool. That must be in the book of LaTorria's Secrets. You know, chapter 5, verse 7.
The New Testament.
Yeah, definitely the new Testament. The new Testament. But you know, God's still writing his story.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Come on.
Writing.
Yes.
You better come on, 2024. We got another book coming out.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Speaking of another book, tell me
Lord.
about this book before we wrap up, because we've been at it.
No, I've thoroughly enjoyed this. I needed this moment, so I appreciate you. So yes, I do have a book that's coming out October 30th. It's a digital book, easy read. It's less than 50 pages, but it's just like the how-to to PR. So I get asked so many questions. And October 30th is National Publicist Day. So, but I always get asked questions about PR from, you know, people that either want me to be a mentor, or people that want to do PR, or people who be wanting
PR on the low.
On the low, you know.
Hey, let me pick your brain real quick.
You know, and it's like, oh, it's no picking. I don't get it. But
You can buy my ebook.
Right.
Is what you can do.
Listen, the ebook is like $20, but it's not even about the funds, right? Actually, in all honesty, some of the proceeds are going to go to taking the youth to HBCU tours. Oh, man, so that's what the book is about. It's going to be available on all digital platforms on October 30th and on my website. Again, it's an ebook. It's easy read. It's going to have some valuable information about all things PR. When do you need a PR, or when do you need? I was going to say,
who is this book for?
Right. So it's for everybody. It's when do you need a publicist? What is PR? How to get a publicist? I always tell people I may not be for you, and I'm okay with that. Just like you may not be for me. But how do you go about getting a good publicist? Yeah. And it's important for people to do their own research about people. Just like you go into a job interview, they ask for references. It's okay to ask people for references about a certain publicist, because at the end of the day, you're making an investment. Yeah. You know, and I mean,
you need social proof for everything nowadays.
You really do, because people are be fake out here.
Look, listen, ain't nothing changed.
Nothing changed.
Scammers been going on before the internet.
And the internet has brought out a new level of scammers. Scamming is...
I'm real curious to see what the scam's gonna look like with AI, though. Oh, that's a whole nother topic.
That's part 2.
Yeah,
He gonna teach me AI.
Listen, I'm trying to get you on, man. I'm trying to make your life a little easier.
Yes, I got trust issues with AI.
I know. Look, I'm just telling you, man. I'm not telling you not to put your LaTorria's secrets in the mix, but we'll talk. We'll talk later.
Okay, we're gonna talk for sure.
I love it.
Yeah, definitely. The book will be available October 30th. It's National Publicist Day, so happy National Publicist Day to all the publicists around the world. It's a job that can be thankless. It's a hard job. It's a job with no set hours, but from one publicist to another, I appreciate y'all. We make the world go round, and keep your head above water. And if you decide to not keep your head above water, I hope somebody comes and help you. Okay, it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Well, LaTorria, I can't thank you enough for coming and sharing your LaTorria secrets with the world.
You're not gonna let it go.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm gonna say it all. And the fact that I just learned that God is from the north side. Like, I can't even get enough of that. Hey,
I'm excited.
Because the north side really needs the Lord. That's what it is. That's what it is, Jesus. Hold up.
Oh, Lazarus.
Oh man, let me hurry and go before I get in trouble. LaTorria, tell everybody how they can continue to rock with you before your fan gives out.
Yes, for sure. For sure. You can follow me on Instagram at LaTorria, LaTorria_L. My website is www.lemonlimelightmedia.com. So it's Lemon, like my last name. Limelight is what we provide to our clients, and media is what we're all about. That's pretty much it.
And get the book. She just dated the interview, so now I have to drop it before October. Thank you very much. Love you guys so much. We just broke down the breakthrough. See you next week.